but we are based on purely data. So I'll click on login/sign up, which brings me to that page. And my information is already in here, so I'll just click on login. And that brings us to the provider search page of the provider ranking system. Before we get into a search, let's go here on the left. So the home hyperlink up here, then provider search, provider detail, procedure ranking, specialty ranking. Those four we will be going into today. Those are the core of the provider ranking system website. Then here at the bottom for more info, you can click on help, or how does it work, and frequently asked questions. And then about us, contact us in terms of use. Back here to the top of the screen, if I click on provider search, brings us back to where we first came when we logged in. And then you can search for a provider by NPI number if you have that. Otherwise, if you're trying to find a particular provider, click on specialty ranking if you're looking in general. For provider searches, if you have the exact NPI number or specific name and medical specialty. But if you want to see a list of providers, come to the specialty ranking section. And we can click on, you can see there's a drop-down menu of a lot to choose from for medical specialty. You can say cardiac surgeon. And then right now it's on entire US, but you can click on filter by zip code if you prefer, because there's obviously going to be a huge number of results for doing the whole US. So cardiac surgeons, so it's showing 1 through 20 on this page of 1,264 entries. So definitely a whole lot to look through, and you can sort or show how many entries you want to per page. You could bring that up to 2,000 per page if you prefer. But even then, it's still a ton of pages. So we'll filter by zip code. Let's say zip code 787. Load those details. So that's Austin, Texas. So cardiac surgeons, it's showing 4 cardiac surgeons in 787 zip 3 for Austin, Texas. So of these 4, you can see the green and yellow are the first 2. Green means they're in the top 25% ranking. Yellow means they are in the top 50%. And then the third and fourth here, you see they are not highlighted. Let's click on, well, before we do, let me show you. So the first column is the ranking. NPI code is the second column. Provider name is the third column. Then city, state, zip code, CRS, which is their composite ranking score, and their grade. Those are the last 2 columns. So you can see here, grade of a B+, composite ranking score 77.8638. So you may think, well, back in school, I thought a B+ meant, 86 and above or something like that. How did a 77 get a B+? Well, down here, it provides details of how the composite ranking score is calculated, and then what these grades would mean. So A+ would be above 95%, but then it's not as not from what you remember in school below here. So a 55 and above would be a C+. And there's more details there if you'd like, if you care to read those. I'll click on an NPI code right now for this Dr. Karendi. So B+, and I'll scroll here to the top. So it has the NPI number, which it had on the previous page, then the provider name and address, so to find their exact location, then their grade of 78% B+, and for the year, this you can change this. However, the grade will be from 2018 and above. So ranking of CRS by medical specialty, cardiac surgery, they are 210th out of 1,264 in the United States. They are 1 or first out of 4 in the zip 3 787, which is Austin, Texas. If you want to click on any of these links with the ranking, it will load the page for what you clicked on. So I clicked on the US and it shows here all the ones in the US. So there are a ton of those. I'll go back to the provider detail page from here. Billing and procedure summary. This you can change for years. So 2012 through 2018. And as I change the year, it changes all this data. So total Medicare approved amount, and how does that compare to the previous year? So I looked up 2015. So $344,051 is a 9.63% growth compared to the previous year. And how much was billed? 1,170,617. So that's the total amount billed, which is 3.4 times higher than the amount that was approved by Medicare. This was for 81 unique procedure codes that were used on 1,309, 81 unique procedure codes, but a total of 1,309 procedures done on 229 patients. Over here to the right of that on this chart, it shows the amount billed and the amount approved, and you can see the difference there. And that's for every year, 2012 through 2018, of all the CMS data that's currently available. 2019 data will be available soon and will be on our website. So if you log in the future, you'll happen to see it there, along with all the other years. You can change this from amounts to patients. So it shows the number of patients that were seen throughout the year and the number of procedures that were done on those patients. So you can see here a slight increase in number of patients, but it looks like a larger increase in number of procedures done. Just to the naked eye, that's what it looks like to me. I did not calculate that though. So patient demographics and risk profile found beneath that. Accepts Medicare, Y, so that means yes. If it was no, it would be an N, of course. The gender of this provider, M for male. Type, if they're an individual or if this is a larger practice. Average age of patients, in this case 76. 42% of them are female, 83% white, 11% Hispanic. Top 5 comorbid conditions. They're all 5 of those are listed here in the corresponding percentage. Average risk score of patients, 1.7996. 1 would be average. Over 1.5 means this provider accepts high-risk patients. So a 1.7996 does mean this provider accepts high-risk patients. Most common procedure codes. We can adjust that year however you'd like. And so the top procedures performed greater than 10 times in a year. So 11 or more times per year. These are listed here. The left-hand side, HCPCS code, right next to that, description, then LOC, meaning location, F for facility, O for office, dollars approved, the percentage of growth compared to the prior year, the billing times amount, how much was billed compared to the amount that was approved. The number of times these were done, how many times that was a repeat on the same patient. The ranking, how does this fall compared to ranking of other providers in the US and the ZIP3. So lots of greens and yellows here. This is definitely a top provider. You could also show, right now we're showing 20 entries per page. You could max that out to 2,000 if it's necessary for this provider. So actually, no, there's only 19 of these top procedures by this provider. So 2,000 would not be necessary. But then you see here, again, the composite ranking score, the explanation of how it's graded, and the location, LOC, what that means for F, facility, or N for non-facility. Here, if there happen to be a whole ton of things to search through, you can also filter. So we could say, well, let's just look at, well, so it's cardiac, so heart may not narrow it down too much, but we could say, I just want to see anyone with heart in the title or that procedure code. Okay, so this was on the provider detail page. Then let's go back to the provider search page for a second. And then from here, I guess maybe instead of doing anything here, we'll jump into specialty ranking. So medical specialty, we have cardiac surgery, although that can be adjusted depending on what you're looking for. You can see there's quite a long list here, actually. But we can stick with cardiac surgery. Then we can say for the entire US or filter by zip code. Again, we could do filter by zip, so zip 3787. And then for year, we'll load details. And then again, it shows those three that we just saw. Procedure ranking, you do the same thing here. HCPCS code. Let's see what that one is. So 22558, fusion of spine bones with removal of disc at lower spinal column, anterior approach. And this was done in a facility. So for the entire US in the year 2018, there are 942 to choose from. So let's increase the amount of entries per page. And of course, green means top 25%, yellow means top 50%. Now, since we do have thousands of them, we can search or we can filter by narrowing things down if we wanted to. We could say, well, I remember Stubbs was the last name. Let's see. Sorry, my keyboard's having a delay here. Okay, so I started typing Stubb, it brought it down just to that one we were looking for. I was just doing that for an example. Before we get down to that graph, I'll just show you. So here, rank, MPI code, provider name, city, state, zip code, services, patients, repeat percentage, total dollars approved, approved average, billed average. And you may be wondering, so what are these colors, these rectangular outlines on each provider? Well, these are for the top 5. They have their own colors. Now I'll narrow this down so we don't have to go far down to see the graph. I brought down to 10 again. So these colors will correspond with this graph. So the top 5 providers for each year has the same colors as it does, and those MPI codes will match those colors just like they did in the chart up there. We could change that to top 10 providers by year if you'd like, or top 10 providers all years. And if we did, we changed from top 5 to top 10, you can see up here, we added 5 more colors in this chart, on this list. And then I'll show you top 5 ranking and top 10 ranking. Now, if we wanted to take any of these MPI codes and use it, I'll just copy this. Copy link address. Maybe that wouldn't work. I don't want to copy the link address. I'll just copy this code. I'll take this code and go to provider search, what I was mentioning before about searching by MPI number. And I'll click in, I'll put in that and say run search. And then it brings us, says Christopher Brown, or Dr. Christopher Brown, orthopedic surgeon, Durham, North Carolina. I'll click on the MPI code. Very high score, 94% of its orthopedic surgeon. And then all the information I just displayed before when we were on the provider detail page from a previous example. Also, one last thing, I think I forgot to mention it, but when comparing the amount of that is billed to the amount approved, so the total in this case billed was $4.73 million. The amount approved was $776,000. That's certainly way bigger than the amount billed than was approved. However, what's typical, CMS says they typically pay about 80% of the amount billed. In this case, 4.73 million is way more than 776, but you'll see a variety of different ranges of what providers bill. Any questions, please follow up tom@dennistondata.com, and I'd be happy to give you a personal demo at your request. Thanks so much for your time.